Okay, everyone, we'll call our meeting to order. It's 1 o'clock, so it's committee of the whole, for the committee of the whole meeting. Can I have a declaration of community interest, general nature thereof? Anyone? No? Delegations, presentations. First one up, we have Northumberland District ATV Riders Club and Alan Knott and member Mike Ainsworth, who's the president. They're going to give a request for consideration of a bylaw to permit. So come forward if you like, and there's two comfy chairs there for you. I know you have a bit of a presentation, so welcome both of you.
As we're waiting for the presentation, Your Worship, thank you for allowing myself to come forward this morning, along with my partner Mike Ainsworth from the NDATV Club. My name is Alan Knott. I'm a local citizen here in Hamilton Township at 9853 County Road 2, and started ATVing last year, about August, and within that year got connected with the local club. I've had some wonderful opportunities to traverse Northumberland County, and today's opportunity is to address and request a bylaw for the NDATV Club and for the municipality to review that and come up with proposals around moving forward with a new bylaw. Okay. I think I did. Right here. Sure, thank you. I'll just give you a sign. Would that be all right? So a little bit about the NDATV Club. Northumberland District ATV Riders has been a part of Northumberland since 2006 and is affiliated with the Eastern Ontario Trails Alliance. Since November 2016, the NDATV Club moved under the umbrella of the Ontario Federation of All-Terrain Vehicles Clubs. NDATV has about 140 members and maintains over 310 kilometers of trails. We have a website, a Facebook presence, and we have a clubhouse located at 505 McDonald Road in Centerton in Haldimand Township. We organize rides, socials, and fundraising events, along with special events for our members and for the community. NDATV provides also training on GPS, ATV maintenance, and wardening courses. Some additional information, we perform maintenance and patrol our trail system. We do have participate and do some fundraising in charitable organizations. We also, a big key part of our arrangements is obtaining landowner agreements for using trails through their property, as well as having liability insurance of $5 million. Now, I am told that that's under review, and it will likely increase to 15 if it hasn't already done so through the OFATV. Our motto is safe and responsible riding. A little bit about the OFATV and our affiliation with them since 2016. The Ontario Federation of All-Terrain Vehicle Clubs is sort of a one trail access model for sustainable organizations that represent the interest of all recreational ATVers in Ontario. It is a not-for-profit organization, volunteer-driven. They're dedicated to helping develop ATV clubs across the province and assisting members. They do provide trail insurance for registered landowners, the OFATV, and the member ATV clubs at no direct cost to landowners, clubs, and affiliated groups or communities. The OFATA is an important member of the board member of the OTC, the Ontario Trails Council, along with the TIAO, the board, the Tourism Industry Association of Ontario, and a member of the AQCC, ATV Quad Council of Canada. A couple of key points. They strive to provide responsible, safe, legal, and environmentally friendly trails for all-terrain riding vehicles in the province of Ontario. They also, because they sit on different boards, they also sort of have a role in terms of addressing concerns, problems, and they demonstrate that through respect for wildlife, private land, crown land, and other trails and groups and associations. So when the government brings forward recommendations such as annual licensing, fees, or other recommendations, the OFATV has a seat at the table and is a stakeholder. That's one of the reasons why we connected with that group. The purpose of today's presentation to the Council is to request the Council to implement an ATV road use access bylaw within our municipality. NDATV has been requested this year to bring presentations both forward to Brighton, Crammy, and certainly we're pleased to be here today with the Hamilton Township. Having the ATV road use access bylaw will not only allow for continuation of the ATV trail system across our province, but will allow both the citizens of Northumberland and future visitors to participate in a safe, enjoyable, family-oriented form of recreation while boosting tourism and enhancing economic development within our municipality. Just take a few minutes to talk about some statistics. In a recent OFATV presentation for our club, there are about 350,000 ATVs in Ontario. The number of ATVs continues to grow in Ontario at an astonishing rate. Our last reviews showed ATVs outselling snowmobiles at a rate of 8 to 1. Only 1% of these riders belong to an organized ATV club, so there's lots of work to do to engage new riders, have them join clubs, and get connected and get social. OFATV has a goal to have all ATV clubs organized, so only one trail pass is required for Ontario trails. The purpose of the bylaw, effectively, we were looking for access to food, lodging, fuel, services, and trails across municipalities. So in doing our research and coming prepared today, we have spoken to our members in our municipalities, neighboring municipalities, OPP and police detachments, local businesses, other ATV clubs, the Eastern Ontario Trail Association, as well as the OFATV. We've obtained feedback concerning ATV road use access bylaw in neighboring municipalities and a great variety of sources. We've also taken it upon ourselves to do a bit of a survey of a petition, Hamilton Township ATV side-by-side petition. Right now online, we've got about 160 folks signing up, giving support. Along with that, our local communities, I believe in the Bewdley area, we've got 20 or 30 signed petitions. So those can be available should council wish to take a copy or have them. Again, just showing some additional groundswell support for the bylaw. When we talk about benefits, in keeping with Hamilton Township's vision to be a thriving community recognized for its leadership and sustainable growth, promoting a safe, active, and healthy environment. So we feel really passionate also about the safe, active, healthy, and utilizing sort of the, having folks be able to traverse and enjoy Hamilton Township to its fullest. So we believe that this bylaw would provide a family-oriented activity where all family members can participate in an exciting and fun outdoor activity. The next one would be expose local businesses and tourism through publicity on the global ATV websites such as EOTA, Eastern Ontario Trail Association, other websites as thetrail.ca, Ontario Federation of ATV, Tourism Ontario, and NDATV's website. Other agricultural benefits where farmers can use their ATVs to reach their land, carry feed to their livestock, and with trails well marked, the farmers will not be concerned about trespassing and damage to their crops or fields. When the trails and the directions are noted, we have much less of the impact on farmers. Economic development through an increase in local economic activity with ATP participants and visitors spending dollars for gas, food, lodging, and local businesses. So some things to consider in terms of the road use bylaw would be lifestyle, real estate values, public safety, and liability. If we turn first, concerns about lifestyle, we really categorize that around noise. Would residents feel that bypassing ATVs add an undue amount of noise in their environment? And so here's just a few little statistics about, the decibels around what an ATV sounds like driving by your house at 20 kilometers an hour. It's less than a blender, less than a lawnmower. So we hope that would illustrate that noise concern would not be something to impede. The second one would be around real estate values. We do have an individual, Mr. Mick Robbie, from the Real Estate REMAX office, states in his letter, "I'm not aware of any empirical evidence supporting the position that the expanded ATV regulations decrease property values." And there's something there for council members to take a look at. I won't go through it all, just an idea there around real estate values not having an impact in terms of ATV bylaws. More importantly, we move to public safety. And here we've obtained some feedback from the Township of Stirling Rowden regarding their bylaw officers and municipalities with ATV bylaws. One individual is quoted as saying, "I can say that there's no significant concerns or complaints have come to the attention of the police from the operation of ATVs. Furthermore, it appears that the operators are following the provisions of the bylaw, and I'm not aware of any infractions or safety risks that may have occurred in the past 8 months." The above quotation reference reinforces our claim that ATV clubs are educating their members well with respect to safety and following the rules of the trails and of the roads. The second one is, again, just a testament from Township of Havelock, Belmont, Methuen. Since approval of the bylaw, there have been few, if any, complaints that have been forwarded to the Bylaw Enforcement Department. However, since this does take place on highways and potentially outside the regular office hours, most enforcement would be completed by the OPP from the Peterborough Detachment, and they say, "I do not have any incidences recorded or brought forward by the OPP." So again, just some statements in regard to public safety and how the bylaw is impacting that. If we move to the next one, we're just, again, keeping in theme of what we're responsible for as the NDV ATV Riders Club, again, promoting safety, maintaining our trails, adding signage. We did, in fact, donate GPS's units and helped with facilitating some equipment for Alnwick Haldeman Fire Department. Again, the key there is if there is an incident, if there is any a need for calling out, that the townships would have the equipment and have the availability to respond quickly. The next page talks a little bit, again, just about public safety. To ensure public safety, ATV clubs provide their riders with training and educational materials that promote safety rules, as shown below. This material and more are available to local riders and are promoted by the ATV clubs. I can tell you that I've been part of the NDA ATV Club for about a year now, and at every meeting there is an element of safety rules, there is educating and also welcoming new members and helping them get connected quickly so that they know how to behave on the forests and in the trails. A very important element is around liability. With respect to the important concern related to ATV bylaws, we have requested written feedback from our neighboring townships with this bylaw that's already in place. From our Township of Crammy, in their letter, it should also be added that having the ATV bylaw has had no negative impact on our township insurance costs. Also, based on conversations with insurance providers, the liability costs of policies for municipalities do not increase with the ATV bylaw in place, from our research and from our knowledge. Again, on the next page, with respect to liability, with respect to the importance concern, again, from the Township of Alnwick Haldeman, there have been no incidents in respect to our municipal public highways, or has the municipality have any insurance claims in respect to litigation, nor has this bylaw impacted our annual insurance, municipal insurance costs. So if we turn to economical benefits, there will be a boost to the local economy. Activity through ATV participants, and certainly what we're hoping is it would draw many additional visitors to our region who will spend their dollars for gas, food, lodgings at local businesses. An independent economic impact study completed by Smith Gunter Associates on the benefits, or on the behalf of the Canadian Off-Highway Vehicle Distributors Council, reported that in 2015, Ontario residents spent nearly $974 million on activities directly involving the operation of all-terrain vehicles and recreation off-road vehicles, also known as side-by-sides. The NDATV website has on average 3,200 visitors accessing 50,000 pages and downloading 1.5 gigabytes of data a month. Our website is accessed worldwide, all across Canada, followed by USA, United Kingdom, Europe, and many other countries. So folks are looking for information around where to ride, how to ride responsibly. We have many links, and we're educating on our website. So we feel that we're creating some awareness and helping draw folks to our club. If we go to the next one, there's a recent article last year in the Trent Hills Independent, April 8th, 2016. And in that article, they talk about allowing all-terrain vehicles on municipal roads appears to have had little effect on policing in Trent Hills last year, according to an analysis done by the Northumberland OPP at Council's request. Opening up public roads to ATVs and or side-by-sides does not appear to have had any impact on public safety, added Constable Jody Albert. in a report he prepared for the period following the implementation of the bylaw June 15th to the end of November. If we move to some additional feedback, Mr. Mayor Harrison of Quinte West on May 1st, 2016 was asked what effect their bylaw had had in their municipality, and the bylaw was passed in 2006, 2007. He stated, legalizing with a clear set of rules has provided tremendous results for us. ATV users no longer have to run and hide. They know the rules, the police know the rules, and the issues of the past have gone away. We are also grateful for the revenue it has created. I assume he's referring to tourism and the impact there. Also, Mr. Mark Combs, Mayor of Municipality of Crammy, on May 1st, 2016, when asked, had this to say. The bylaw was created 8 years ago. First year was a trial period. He stated that the bylaw has been great for us. He said that Northumberland Trail Riders Association have done a tremendous job of policing and administrating their rights. He states they make trail improvements, they make them safer. We, as a municipality, have aided the users with a culvert or two and gravel in the event of a washout, for example. He concluded by saying, prior to the bylaw, I was receiving a minimum of 2 calls or emails per month of complaints from residents. In the 8 years since, I've had 1 call, and it was with regards to a motorcycle. So again, just the notion that the bylaws do help improve understanding, awareness, safety, and can avoid some of the previous problems. When we come to our recommendations, through the work on promoting the ATV bylaw in Trent Hills, we obtained overwhelming support and encouragement for our efforts. This was through talking to individuals, residents, businesses, as well as through local signatures of support sheets. So we've done a similar approach here in Hamilton, and our recommendations will follow. Ontario ATV regulations. Here's a listing of 39 municipalities with ATV bylaws, and many of those currently connected with the Northumberland District ATV Association. And lastly, our request is that as council, you take the opportunity to review the current bylaw or the bylaw that would be in effect and addressing it in terms of providing access within Hamilton Township. I know as an ATV rider, each weekend we decide where we're going to go. And one of the key factors is just around where we can travel safely and responsibly. And in many cases, it's having us go east into the west or east into the north. And on occasion, we're just bemoaning the fact that we currently don't have that access here in Hamilton. And we're looking forward to traveling within the region, making connections and supporting the community with our tourism dollars. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much for your presentation. Questions from council members? Anyone? No? Pat, yes? Pat, and then Bill, I guess, yeah?
I have a couple. So, first of all, a number of years ago, Mike came requesting a similar bylaw, and there was a meeting held in Cold Springs that had the OPP, the health unit, et cetera, there, giving their input on what they thought were possible concerns or positives for ATVs. At that time, the OPP did not sound particularly supportive, and the health unit had a number of concerns of injuries and things. Has anything changed with that is sort of the first part of the question. And second, what's your relationship with those groups now?
Pat, if it's all right, I might require the expertise of Mike, who has got more history, as I'm a recent member, not privy to most of that. Mike, do you have opportunity to address that?
Yeah, I think, getting the letters from the OPP and their support.
That actually surprised me when I saw the letters.
So we deal with the ATV police. We try to work with them as much as we can, as close as we can, and certainly they have their rules. But I think it's a great relationship that we have now, and they certainly respect what we're doing, and I think they're doing their best to help us get to our goal.
Okay, and sorry.
And for the health unit, it's we really haven't had much dialogue with the health unit. I look at ATVs as one of the safest recreational sport in Ontario in the summertime. Versus fishing, versus swimming, versus bicycling. It is actually one of the safest sports you can do.
Okay, may I ask one more question, Mark? The other question that I have is. I'm actually very impressed with the amount of work you're putting into trying to make this work. your numbers compared to the ATVers in the province are still fairly low. I have family members at ATV, and they generally end up trailering out because they can't do it locally. But I can't speak for others. I've also already had a number of emails about, what are you even considering this? Because once it's in the paper, people email us with their concerns. And I completely believe that at 20 kilometers an hour, it sounds like a blender. However, on the road that I'm on, very rarely are people driving at 20 kilometers. So how much work are you doing at actively getting a larger membership so that more people are sort of towing the line, I guess?
So if I may answer that again, I guess there's a few things that we're up against. Right now, we would love every municipality to say, hey, if you have an ATV in Hamilton Township, Allen, McCollum, and Cranny, you have to be a member of the club and you have to carry a valid pass. A, we have a different agenda as a club and what we're trying to promote. B, if you're not part of that club, you're not getting those safety messages, you're not getting that information, you're not getting the springboard of the club to help promote and help deal with an issue that you might have on your side road where people are running down there 80 kilometers an hour, and where we could come and sit with our warning vest on and just kind of give that education to those people. And I've done it on my own road in Shelter Valley Road where I've stopped a couple of kids and said, hey, this is where this can go, and this is what can happen with your parents, and and so we're not afraid of at least stop it and talk and give people loads of information. We go to the county boards. It's a hub for ATVing here in Northumberland County. And the first thing we do is, we introduce ourselves. We tell those people that, hey, we can't enforce the bylaw here, 2110 for the county bylaw. But what I need to do today is give you the right information that you need to make the right decision. Right. So, and we get a pretty good welcome out of that, approaching it that way.
How much has your membership gone up since you've been more actively making your presence more known?
None. Actually, our membership is going to go down to try to, and it's going to be called, we're hoping by the end of the year through the OFATV, it's going to be called a loyalty pass. So if you buy your pass today and you renew it before today next year, you'll get a loyalty of $25 off your pass. So that pass will put us $3 over the EOTA pass, and it'll put us even with the other passes in Halliburton and Florida.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Bill, you had a question?
Yeah, I've got two or three as well, actually. Earlier in your presentation, Alan, you said that you were requested to make this presentation. Who asked you to do this?
Requested to make the presentation.
That's what it said. You were requested.
Yeah. Like I guess me as the president of the club, we're always trying to bring different people in and to give them more. I think that's what we're trying to say is that. So we've asked Alan to requested him to do this presentation because of his yes, and owners of the of some of the business downtown in Beauty. So that's kind of what that means.
Okay.
Alan has an expertise, and we certainly like to build on.
Okay. The liability you said was a big thing, and it certainly is. Has there been a lawsuit anywhere to find out how much of this $5 million is going to actually cover? Because I can see in a scenario like this, if there were a serious accident, I could see whoever property that they're on being sued. I can see you guys being sued. If they're a member, I can see us being sued as a municipality. So there hasn't been any precedent set to this point, which is a good thing. Hopefully there hasn't been a serious accident. But
it happened once in Alma Coleman Township, and we were involved a little bit with the and then before it ever got to court, it got thrown out.
So there hasn't been any court decisions that we can use as a precedent.
No.
Okay, I just have one more. First of all, I like to say, as Pat has said, I really respect the work that you guys are doing and the kinds of things that you are doing. The flaw is that you're such a small percentage of the people who are on ATVs. Like at 1%, you're just not representative of the people that are out there going up and down the roads. And I know you said yourself you've seen the action out there, and there has been a lot of negative feedback over this going forward with the ratepayers, for sure. I don't think that's a reflection on your group. I think it's a reflection on those few riders that are out there. Like in everything we do, there's always a few people who spoil it for everybody. So that is our situation. We're getting a lot of negativity.
Councillor Bill,
Yeah.
So as a new member and as someone who's just getting into the sport, I think about some of the understanding that I had previous to joining the club. I think Ontario has some provision that says ATVs and side-by-sides are legal, and then it's up to municipalities to understand or implement that or have either a bylaw for or against. So there are riders that are on the roads, and those folks would either be doing that on their own accord without support. I think about our mission is around safe and responsible, licensed and insured. So the individual traveling on the roadway is now similar to a motorcycle or a snowmobile, that type of thing. So I think I do agree there's work to do to educate and inform, and perhaps the bylaw would actually help to have more folks say, well, now that I can, it's worth it to license and insure and be under that guide of regulated activities. So again, I'm not an expert, just a little bit of my opinion around it may actually improve the opportunity.
Thank you.
Anything further? Scott, yes?
Well, first of all, thank you for your presentation. I'm sitting here with conflicting thoughts in my own mind. I look out and I see some restaurant owners in the Bewdley area. I've had occasion to be in those buildings, those restaurants, during the winter months, and I see the business that comes in on snowmobile. I presume there would be a lot of business come in on ATV as well. And from that perspective, it would be nice to be able to support this. Unfortunately, I also come from a farming background, and our family has a number of farm properties that are vacant. And to be quite honest with you, I'm very disappointed and very frustrated when I go to see fences that have been cut, and I've had those, crops that have been knocked down, and different things like that. Now, I'm not suggesting that in any way that's your club. In fact, I am suggesting that it is non-club members that don't have the courtesy that you gentlemen and your club members have. Which gets me to my question, Mike. I believe I heard you say something to the effect that it would be nice if every municipality passed a bylaw that said everyone driving an ATV in a municipality had to be a club member. Is there any legal opportunity to have that in place? Because what you're presenting to us is a very organized, safe, logical activity, which I would enjoy to be part of myself if I had time. However, the racing, the gravel throwing, the erosion, the fence cutting, the noise that we see from others on ATVs is not something I could support. So hence my question. Can we force ATV riders to be part of your club and be policed by your club?
I believe this council could do that. I believe all the councils could do that because a part of their rights in the Regulation 316.03 of the Highway Traffic Act. So yes, I believe, and unless I'm wrong, we've asked this question and before, and I'm just not exactly sure why it just doesn't happen, to be quite honest with you. So I would look to the council to maybe try to answer that for us, because legally, I can't say that. I'm not in that profession they say, but I believe under Regulation 316 they could do that.
I think it'd be, I don't know whether it'd be similar to what they do at like the Ganaraska, where they have membership there. If you're a member, you're fine. If you're not, then you can be charged. So I don't know whether you can do that or not when it's dealing with on the roads, but we'd have to look into that. I got Pat and then I got Bill, so go ahead, Pat.
Mine's just very quick in the same line. So I take it from what you're saying that as far as you know, there is no municipalities in Ontario that has something along that line?
Yes.
And Bill?
Yeah, and I just have a comment. I see that as a policing nightmare. Just creating so much work for police trying to stop ATVers and see if they actually do have a membership, and, if they don't, they're not stopping. And then, a police car has got no way of, they're not going to get involved in a chase with an ATV because of potential accidents, so it's just be a policing nightmare.
If I can just comment on that. So the police don't want to chase ATVs. It's a liability to them. They don't want to high-speed chase cars. That part of life is gone. But what not having the bylaw is making that happen. Because people are coming off onto the road and they're looking over their shoulder and they're racing down the trail or they're racing down to someone's property to get off it. And I think from the package that we have here in the municipalities are saying that kind of stuff is not happening. Very little or none at all. So they'll be able to leave their homes, ride safely down the side of the road. And we're not saying County Road 18 I know we have numbers on how many cars go down 18 and over the bridge in Camelford and down number 2. And I'm not saying that we want those roads, but we want to be able to access our rural area roads to be able to safely get to our trails and downtowns for food and gas and all this other stuff.
Further questions or comments? Scott, yes?
Do you have a list of preferred roads in Hamilton Township that you could share with us?
Well, actually, no. Only because we've been here a couple times before and we've talked about routes, and routes just don't work for nobody. Because the guy on, 200 yards from that route still has to break the law to get to the route. And then you've got people that are living on that route and they're going, why my road? So instead of having maybe 30 ATVs on this area to come down it, they might only have 4 or 5 because people are coming from all different areas. So, if I was to speak for Alan and I, is we're really not here looking for a route.
Okay, anyone else? Anything else?
And if I might add to that, if the bylaw is passed, that gives us an opportunity to go talk to landowners to say, hey, can we write you up? Because we have a landowner agreement, and every landowner becomes under our liability policy. And like Alan said, it's going to be 10 million moving to 15 million under the old ATV. So it gives us an opportunity to talk to landowners to say, hey, can we move that trail off the road?
Sure. Crammy went ahead and they gave you a period of time to try it out. That was, what, a 6 month or 1 year? Or what
1 year.
1 year.
Actually, all 3 of them have given us 1 year of trial days.
That's, all 3 of them went that route?
Yeah.
And all 3 of them since then passed the bylaw to
Yes.
go forward? Might be something to consider. I know the other mayors are, and it wasn't just because you were coming today, in other talkings over the past couple of years even, because I know when Trent Hills were talking about it, there was some negativity there a few years back, and since then, there seems to be a lot more positive of what's gone on and how much you guys have, how much better things have been since the passing of the bylaws. So some of the points or issues that have been brought up today, I'm not so sure that they wouldn't happen anyway with or without a bylaw. I think they're still going to be there, maybe or maybe not, but maybe a little less because the bylaw's in place and the speeding end of it might end. Because we do get a lot of speeding, especially during the west end of the forest station, and that seems to be the bad part of it, like the Northumberland Forest area. And that's a tough one to beat. We had a lot of people come down from outside the area, and they're coming from Oshawa, Pickering, that area, and bringing trailers and so forth in. And there's a lot of speeding and reckless driving, and because of that. And they're coming in, and they're going to continue to come in because they seem to be able to go on the hydro property there, which isn't looked after at all as far as trespassing and so forth. So I'm not sure. And we've tried to combat that over the years. It's been very difficult. But what you're asking is something that we'll have to consider, and it'll probably be looking probably September, Arthur. We'd be looking at getting a staff report back and looking at a decision in September, whether we make a decision then or whether we go to a public meeting. So we'll have to decide at that point. Okay. Great. Thank you. Thank you both.
Thank you.
Okay. Next up, we have Chris North. You'd like to come forward, and you're looking for a request to extend the road for building permits. And you're also representing Kim Linton, I guess. So.
Well, Mr. Linton didn't, I guess he decided last minute not to attend, so.
Okay.
Mr. Devlin's our family counsel.
I'm just here to observe, and he's much better presenter than I am. So,
Sure. Okay.
we'll do it.
Well, today we're only going to listen, then we'll get a staff report back at a later date, and then we go from
The
there.
material that was submitted to Mrs. Serraris was distributed, everybody has a copy.
Yeah. And I believe you had an update came out this morning. There's a little
I
some
have
changes.
copies of the background information for everybody, I guess, if they don't have it. I can distribute that. Just a little background information on that. Residential and existing residential usage identified in the report here that was provided from the appraisal company. What was the name of this guy's? Oh, Bonnie Duncan, I guess, local appraisal. So we thought, okay, fine, and then we did follow that up with some more due diligence and called up the township and asked if there was a building permit available for that property, and they indicated that there was. We did not get that in writing. It was just a verbal over the phone. And then from there, we went and got a copy of the zoning bylaws and looked through that. And I guess we assured ourselves that that looks reasonable. I think we can, it says right in the, notwithstanding any provision by this bylaw, a single detached dwelling is a permitted use as a principal use on these lands identified as we have. So I said from all that, I think that was fair due diligence, and we went ahead and purchased the property. Come this spring, we called up the township again, and we met with Sandra Stothert regarding the permit availability. We came in and asked her about that, and she said that, in fact, there was not a permit available because the property resided on an environmentally sensitive zone. So it was kind of a bit of a shock there because that was never brought up when we called up the township initially in 2012, nor was it as part of the appraisal that was done on the property. So I couldn't quite figure that one out. So we went a little further into that. We met with Conservation with Mr. Mark Peacock and Mr. Greg Wells on that matter and asked them about what the restrictions were and is there any other possibilities how to address this, because basically that lot is landlocked right now because we can't get access to the building envelope area. So we talked to them about a couple of different possibilities. One of them was the extension of Elmwick Hills Road, and the other one was doing a private road parallel to the existing seasonal road that extends down to Turk Road. So that is evidenced or drawn out on our figure. I don't know if you guys should have a copy of the drawing there. That's what we had brought forward. In talking to Conservation, they had given indication that they would review it and would support a less environmentally, actually a more environmentally sensitive approach to putting the road in. So those were the two that we discussed. There are existing dwellings all along this property that we purchased, I believe, was a 100-acre parcel, which was severed off, and there's dwellings all along Turk Road that were part of this original parcel. So prior to the Oak Ridges Moraine designation, this property had a building permit, and it could have been built on. After that, that's when we had the problems starting up. So I'm trying to see how we can address that, both with respect to the environmental sensitivity issue as well as the pragmatic issue of costs and everything else. Now, in calling that township and talking to Mr. Paul Heffernan, I believe the operations manager, he mentioned that there was some apprehension with regards to the extension of the road because of two issues: costs, and both in the initial cost as well as the operations cost of maintaining that road for the full season of the year. So we looked at that, and then we looked at possibly doing a private road parallel, as I mentioned earlier, with the existing seasonal road. So those are the two options that we've come up with. I believe that they're both the best approach environmentally, since there are existing roads there. There is no large impact to reconstructing anything because it's already existing. So from that, those two options, I don't know of any other way that we can access that building envelope.
Okay, thank you. Questions, comments? I know, Scott, you had a comment yesterday on this very project. Did you want to ask that or suggest it again?
I suppose I don't have questions or comments from my present responsibility here as a council member. Mine probably come from my previous history here. In your submission you just handed to us, I want to point you in the direction of your last page.
Okay.
And section 28.3 and 28.2. Even in the environmental sensitive areas, the permitted uses under 28.2 bracket 1 or I, all uses permitted within the underlying zone classifications. Now it goes on in the next section to deal with an environmental impact study. I assume I didn't even bother reading that. I'm going purely from memory. Environmental impact study in relationship to dealing with the Conservation Authority. Bringing that back into your option 2, and I'm going to intentionally advise you that that's not a road but a driveway.
Yes.
It's a driveway.
Private road, yeah.
Private driveway.
Yeah.
Have you consulted with the Conservation Authority, and have they indicated to you that they would prohibit, not that they wouldn't prefer something else, but rather that they would prohibit that proposed driveway?
Mr. Devlin, our attorney, and myself met with Mark and Greg earlier this spring regarding this issue. We did not bring up the option 2 at that point because it wasn't on the table at that point. We had talked about option 1, which was the extension of the road, and they did support that during that meeting. And they were going to issue a letter to that effect, but they needed to, they didn't have enough time to prepare the letter for this meeting, but they're reviewing it right now. I mentioned option 2 to Mr. Peacock over the phone about a week or so ago, and I mentioned this was another possibility because I know that the township, well, listen, the costs involved in option 1 are all on the township for the most part. And option 2, they're all on the property owner, which is ourselves. So obviously option 2 is better cost-wise for the township, and we realize that. So we've talked to Mark regarding option 2, back to your question, He initially sounded positive about it, but we have to further that discussion in the next week or two.
If I could have one more comment. I believe you'll find that option 2 is not only your cost, but the logical approach to confirm or deny first. And a point of correction, I think you'll find that if option 1 were pursued, that all of the cost is yours as well.
Okay, fair enough.
So I would strongly head you in the direction of option 2. By the way, I'm also of the belief that option 2 may put you in a position where you don't need council approval.
Well, that's what we thought.
You may be in the position where you deal with staff and Conservation Authority as a normal, albeit somewhat extended application because of the ESA, but I don't think you're going to be back here for any consideration under option 2 because you don't need council.
We were hoping.
Well, particularly since the property, after all the severances that happened on Turk Road, you still had the property. And my understanding of the law before the Moraine people took over was that the remainder of property should be entitled to a building permit. I think that's the general consensus. And of course, we just want to be able to get it, that's all.
And I think there's ways of getting it, it's just the cost of doing it, that's all.
I think so too.
That's the problem.
That's true, Mr. Lipton, absolutely.
That's
Yeah.
probably it.
Yeah. Further questions or comments on this one? Anyone? No? Well, thank you both for coming in, and again, we'll probably get a report, and it'll probably be in September, because it's going to be a bit of digging and so forth for staff to come up with.
We should
As a
have
report.
conservation on.
Yeah, we'll forward option 2.
Well, they don't meet also, well, unless Mark and Greg come up, but they don't meet in August either.
Okay.
So they're probably, if it does have to go to the board, it'd be in September.
Yeah.
So just to let you be aware of that.
Okay.
Okay?
Thank you for your time.
Good luck with it.
Have a good day, Jim.
And that concludes our meeting, right? Can I have a motion to adjourn then, please? Scott and Pat, and we are adjourned.